1. It was a box office flop. Despite becoming a cultural phenomenon and being critically acclaimed, The Shawshank Redemption was not a box office success upon its initial release. It grossed only $28 million in the USA against a $25 million budget, ranking it as a massive following through VHS and later DVD sales, which helped it become one of the most beloved films of all time. Tim Robbins almost didn't get the role. The character of Andy Dufresne was almost played by Tom Hanks or Kevin Costner, but Tim Robbins was chosen because of his unique ability to portray both vulnerability and strength. Frank Darabont, the director, had doubts about Robbins at first, but was convinced after a particular scene audition. 3. Morgan Freeman's narration wasn't always in the script. Morgan Freeman's character Red provides much of the film's narration, which became one of the defining features. However, the narration wasn't originally in the script, and Freeman's voiceovers were added later during post-production to help tie together the film's emotional journey. 4. The title is a misnomer. The title, The Shawshank Redemption, refers to the central theme of Andy Dufresne's quest for freedom, but redemption in the title is not about Andy's personal salvation, but about his redemption of others, particularly his impact on the lives of those around him. This theme is woven throughout the film, especially through his friendship with Red. 5. The prison set was built on a former prison location. The movie was shot in the Old Mansfield Reformatory in Ohio, a facility that was decommissioned in 1990. Many of the prison cells and sets were located in real decrepit parts of the facility, giving the film a gritty authenticity. The building's haunting atmosphere is integral to the film's success, but this choice made filming more challenging. 6. The movie's perfect ending was a last-minute addition. The film's uplifting ending with Andy and Red reunited on a beach in Mexico wasn't in the original script. It was added after test screenings to offer a sense of hope and completion. The original ending was far more ambiguous, with Red possibly contemplating whether to follow through on Andy's request. 7. It almost didn't get nominated for an Oscar. Despite being critically acclaimed, The Shawshank Redemption was only nominated for 7 Academy Awards, and it did not win any. It lost out on Best Picture to Forrest Gump, and Tim Robbins lost Best Actor to Tom Hanks. This made Shawshank one of the most famous Oscar losers. 8. It was initially criticized for its length. The movie's running time, 142 minutes, was considered too long by some critics and early audiences, especially in an era when shorter films were more typical for mainstream cinema. However, in hindsight, its pacing and length are often praised as essential to the film's emotional depth. 9. The Shawshank in the title is fictional. While The Shawshank Redemption is based on a novella by Stephen King, there is no real Shawshank prison. The name was created specifically for the story, though it was meant to evoke the idea of a grim penitentiary institution. Interestingly, King has said that Shawshank was an invented name and was not inspired by any real-life locations. 10. Stephen King was initially skeptical about the film. While King is famously supportive of film adaptations of his work, he was initially doubtful about The Shawshank Redemption because it was a more low-key, intimate story compared to its more thrilling works. However, he became one of the biggest champions after seeing the finished film, even calling it one of the best adaptations of his work. 11. The set was filmed in a real working prison. As mentioned earlier, much of the movie was filmed at the Old Mansfield Reformatory, but interestingly, the prison was still partially operational during filming. Actors had to work around real inmates who were still incarcerated in the facility while parts of the set were being constructed. 12. The prison cinematography was influenced by The Godfather. The cinematography of The Shawshank Redemption, particularly its use of light and shadows, was deliberately inspired by films like The Godfather. Cinematographer Roger Deakins used a natural lighting style to create a sense of realism, with much of the action occurring in dimly lit spaces, which deepened the mood of the story. 13. The Zihuatanejo dream was not a random choice. The beach where Andy and Red plan to meet is in Zihuatanejo, Mexico. While it may seem like an exotic, random location, it was chosen because it symbolized a place of peace and escape for both characters. The name Zihuatanejo also has symbolic meaning in Mexican culture as it represents a journey from hardship to tranquility. 14. The film was inspired by a true story. While The Shawshank Redemption is fictional, Stephen King was inspired by a real-life experience. He had visited a prison in Maine and was struck by the idea of prisoners and their psychological journeys. This led to the creation of the novella, which touches on themes of imprisonment, hope, and survival. 15. The movie is now more popular than ever. Despite its lukewarm reception at the box office in 1994, The Shawshank Redemption now consistently ranks as one of the top-rated films on IMDb, often holding the one spot for the top 250 films of all time. This continued popularity is driven by its regular airing on TV, streaming services, and DVD sales. 16. The film's unlikely success was helped by word of mouth. As a result of its lukewarm initial reception, The Shawshank Redemption found success thanks to word of mouth recommendations. Audiences who saw the film on video and cable television began telling others, contributing to its steady increase in popularity. 17. The poster for the film was designed in a hurry. The iconic poster of The Shawshank Redemption, showing a man with his arms spread wide, was created under time constraints because the film's marketing team had limited resources. However, the poster became one of the most recognizable in cinema, symbolizing freedom and hope.